the idea is that the God image changes. So the God image with the Pisceans was the two fish and the idea of dualities and all of that. And then with the Aquarian, it changes to the water bearers. But you know, if you know astrology at all, Aquarius is often associated with invention, inventive thought, and that sort of thing. And this whole book I'm writing about is technology. It's sort of what I'm talking about is a new God image in terms that grows out of the technology. And I'll say one other thing real briefly, which is sort of an insight. McLuhan says the old media is the content of the new media, right? So if you've got movies, then you've got theater, for example, becomes the content of the new media. So now we have computers and we have all these technologies, AI and so forth. What's going to be the content of all of that? And so the idea is that the old God image will become the content of the new God image, and the way the water bearer will be the one who is bringing forth the content of the old ways of thinking and putting it into the new containers. So.
Right, but I think the point is, and perhaps it's sort of a central point for tonight, which is that I can't tell you how to have this experience. Neither can Neumann. I mean, Neumann can slice it and dice it. He was a German Jew. And so his tendency was to do what John did, which was to slice and dice it. But the reality is that you just have to get it. And if you don't get it, what we're saying doesn't mean anything, basically. I mean,
yeah, but it doesn't. In a way, it's one way to look at it is recycling. We're all being reborn. So each time we come through, we're picking up a little more and getting, So
every week.
Yeah. So it's.
Okay. So.
That's why they have some people call them the chosen, and it sounds so arrogant.
Well, no, but here's the chosen, and let me give you Jung's answer to this, okay? Because and I wanted to wait until John came back because I wanted John to hear this. Okay, so.
I can't eat sugar.
So here's Thomas Arst saying in his essay from this book, the Red Book for Our Time, right? And I've already made 5 videos about this. I've already made 5 videos about this one essay, but let me just share this with John. Okay, inasmuch as Jung's life work lays out the cure of the current spiritual malaise, what is left as our task of tasks for those who can sense and thus subscribe to the loss of spiritual substance within the contingencies of a postmodernity turned chaotic? Okay, and basically they're saying postmodernity, the postmodern world is a chaotic world, which is evidently true. All we have to do is look around to see.
Well, there's so many narratives, yes.
Yeah, so many narratives and so on. So, in seeking to assist a patient in finding a way to her individuation process and the rediscovery of soul, Jung recommended creating a personal red book. I should, quote, I should advise you to put it all down as beautifully as you can in some beautifully bound book. Now, this is because you've been painting your dreams. I especially want you to hear this. I should advise you to put it all down as beautifully as you can in some beautifully bound book. It will seem as if you were making the visions banal, But then you need to do that. Then you are freed from the power of them. If you do that with these eyes, for instance, they will cease to draw you. You should never try to make the visions come again. Think of it in your imagination and try to paint it. Then, when these things are in some precious book, you can go to the book and turn over the pages. And for you, it will be your church, your cathedral, the silent places of your spirit where you will find renewal. If anyone tells you that it is morbid or neurotic and you listen to them, then you will lose your soul, for in the book is your soul. And unquote. Your cathedral, one's own church, as an ecclesia spiritualis. This is the pressing issue today, according to Jung. We are in a period of turbulent transitions in an interim of history. However, just how postmodern radical plurality and incarnatio continua are entangled with each other remains a mystery. Perhaps this logical contradiction is the sign of a deeper truth. Even if it took centuries, as Jung suspected, before the new God image would constitute itself, the new collective myth already is delineated, and the individual, consequently, called upon to actively contribute to the foundation of a new religion in the form of an invisible church. As this is described in a dream and during an ensuing talk of Max Zeller with Jung himself. Quote, so Max Zeller is describing a dream. He says, a temple of vast dimensions was in the process of being built. As far as I could see ahead, behind, right, and left, there were incredible numbers of people building on gigantic pillars. I too was building on a pillar. The whole building process was in its very first beginnings, but the foundation was already there. The rest of the building was starting to go up, and I and many others were working on it. Jung said, yes, that is the temple we all build upon. We don't know the people because, believe me, they build in India and China and in Russia and all over the world. That is the new religion. You know how long it will take until it is built? I said. How should I know? Do you know? He said, I know. I asked how long it will take. He said, about 600 years. Where do you know this from? I asked. Where do you know this from? I asked. He said, from dreams, from other people's dreams, and from my own. This new religion will come together as far as we can see, quote unquote.
Think we'll be here in 600 years?
My teeth will be here.
Your teeth.
Well, all right, so then let me read, let me just read I'll just read the last two sentences.
Granddaddy's 80.
Last two sentences of this essay, which I did not read into my videos earlier. As Ernst Junger put it, we receive more life force than we can absorb for the time being, let alone manage. It is without specific qualities and originates out of the great depths that spread out into manifold phenomena, often just there where it is not suspected by prognostics or utopianism. It can only be answered and contained from equal depths. Man lives in two worlds. Okay. We live in two worlds, the conscious and the unconscious. So I think this essay of Thomas Arst in this book is just profound. It's truly profound. I read it into the videos. I read it into 5 videos. And I urge you to listen to that, but I haven't read it all, even into the videos. So,
But you know, that's not even a division for me. I'm never wholly conscious or unconscious. I'm always
between the two.
I'm always working my way through, you know, trying to.
But as a PhD who is an artist, you know that. You're one of the very few people that knows that they are doing that.
Oh, okay. Hey guys.
I mean, isn't? I mean, I mean, how long have you known that, Bill? I mean, how long have you known that you are working between the two worlds, between the conscious and the unconscious?
Well, at least since I was probably 10, when I was laying on the backyard hill looking up at the birds, reading the signs.
Okay. It took me about another 55 years longer before I really started to grok it. And
I always saw signs. I've always seen signs. And so I always knew it was between me and the world was permeable, you know, and that there was, you know, what I knew came from within me, and then I would be aware of it. But I was always right there, in the thick of it, you know, waiting for this part to appear over here, which would affect that part would appear over here. So there's always this mix-up, which is why it's easy for me to, you know, to be.
in some sense, you're blessed in that way. I mean, that's what Dr. Jung said in Memories. Dr. Jung said in Memories, you know, for me, I'm unusual because for me the boundary is permeable, and
Isn't that what I just said?
that's what you just said, right?
Yeah.
That Jung said I could see the processes going on in my unconscious, and he said that's his special, unique gift. Well, that was your unique gift also, in a sense. But for me, I had things happening to me, okay, over a long period of time, and you know, I was driven internally, and became an introvert because, you know, I moved 35 times before I was 40 years old. And I went to 17 schools before I finished my graduate school. 17 different schools. And
You got me beat. No.
well, and so I mean, I went to 11 schools before I finished the 6th grade. Okay, so in 6 years I went to 11 schools, and so when that happens to you and you're just plucked up and put in another environment and a whole different group of people and so on, then you're driven internally. Okay, and so I've been internal for a long time. But when those visions began in '93, I had no clue what was going on. I really had no clue. All I thought was, oh, okay, this is the way novelists write, and probably it is, in a sense, because, you know, novelists who have writer's block, you know, if they become alcoholics, is because they're trying to get back to that place, that unconscious place,
Find the spirit.
to find the spirit, right? And, you know, that's why Pollock drove off the road at age 44. And so it wasn't until 2009, when the Red Book was published, that I first understood that, oh my God, this is what happened to Dr. Jung too. And I recognized his experience with my experience from that time. And then I understood that, yeah, these are things that were coming out of my unconscious all the time. And yes, these are experiences in the Gnostic sense. Okay, what you've been saying all along, you know, but it's only in retrospect that I can look back at those experiences and say, oh my God, that is what was happening to me. And it was the self coming through, but it's only been in the last few weeks when I've been reading Ion that I understood the archetypal levels of this and how what's necessary to get to that level called the self, the God image. And when we're talking about the God image, we're talking about something that you can't tell the difference between the metaphysical God and the God image. And I'm just going to say, well, okay. I don't have, I'm not a theologian and I'm not a psychologist, so I don't have to make this distinction. Maybe Dr. Jung did because he was the son of a pastor, but
And it almost seems like the metaphysical one is the one you think about, and the God image is the one you experience.
yeah. So I'm going to wrap it up here, but what I was going to do was to tell you a story, which I'm not going to do tonight, but I am going to do. Huh?
Until next year?
No, I'm going to do it on video because it's a Christmas gift. And I was always impressed from my childhood with O. Henry's story called The Gift of the Magi. And so I'm going to I want to tell my story, which I think I've already told in this group in part, which is the story of Aphrodite of Rhodes. You may remember that I told this story and how it affected my family. But about a week ago, I had this epiphany that I should tell this story in a more embellished way in the sense of O. Henry's story. And so it's a story about love. And I'll do my, I don't know if I can tell it. Obviously it's very numinous to me to cause this emotional reaction for me. But I will tell it, and I will tell it on video for our listeners as a Christmas gift before Christmas.